Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting here doing a podcast. That's how dedicated I am. Giving you guys an episode this week. Greetings, programs. Get your ass in here, and welcome to another edition of the most ghetto podcast on the planet. It's the Geeks From Apartment 2. We are recording from a Apartment 2 studio somewhere deep in the heart of Rock City, New York. I'm your host, Alan One, at least one of your hosts. Now, this be the point where I would put it over to my co-host, Brother C. Unfortunately, Brother C is not with me right now because one, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and second of all, because uh, over the weekend he had an accident. He's fine. Let me say that. Preface this by saying he's fine, but he did have a slight mishap at his job. He bumped his head on Friday, and it didn't get any better over the weekend. He went to the hospital yesterday, and that's when he found out he got concussed. I can sit here and tell you all that I was very worried for my friend because he went in last night, and then that's the last I heard from him until later on today. I was sitting here frightened and nervous and sad for my friend. Didn't know what hospital he was in. Didn't know where he was. Didn't know what was going on with him, and I was very, very worried until I saw him, and he told me he was okay. So he's okay. Uh, when stuff like this happens, folks, time stops. You know, when people that you care about, they're close to you, something this happens, everything else goes away. My problems went out the window at that point. All I cared about this morning was knowing that my friend was okay. There are times in my life with certain people, and one person in particular, that I didn't always do that with. I took for granted. And when bad things happened, I was selfish and wasn't there for my friend or this particular person. And that's why that particular person, one of the reasons why that particular person is not here right now, because I took that relationship for granted. And I vowed to never do that again with anyone that I was close to. So when Brother C was out of commission, and I didn't know what was going on, everything else stopped. And I made sure that my friend was okay. So he'll be here hopefully next week. Hopefully. If not, then you're going to get another solo episode of the Geeks from Apartment 2. Didn't mean to bring it down to, uh, you know, some sad shit. Sometimes sad shit happens. You know? But we'll get into some shit. We'll get into some tasty tidbits of info and bullshit I had time for this week. But let's take care of some BI. We are on YouTube, so like, share, and subscribe. Finger pop that bell. Be notified of all new episodes. You can reach me on email at lookymerciless1@gmail.com. And we are on Twitter at both Geeks from Apartment 2 and at Simply Ask for One. And check out Brother C's own YouTube channel at Simply Ask One on YouTube. So there you go. So let's get into some tasty tidbits of info. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't say rest in peace to Sweet Rocky Johnson. If you don't know who Rocky Johnson is, he is a Hall of Fame wrestler. He and Tony Atlas was the first African American tag team to hold the WWF Tag Team Championships. This is back in 1984. So that just goes to show you where wrestling was in 1984. And if nothing else, he is the father of The Rock. So if Sweet Rocky Johnson didn't shoot up some young lady's club we would never have gotten the great one and the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. So rest in peace to Rocky Johnson. Also, uh, something made a comeback recently. Something that I knew was coming back. Something that I knew in my heart was coming back. And it's the return of the starter jacket. uh, People my age, especially my age, not you Thundercats. You Thundercats wouldn't understand it, what starter jackets are. But people my age certainly know what starter jackets are. I had three. I had the pullover types. Now they were jackets you pullover jackets. They had a little pouch, almost like really expensive hoodies. Almost had the pouch in the front. You put your hands in. I had three of these motherfuckers. I had a Chicago White Sox one for some reason. Lord help me. I had a Golden State one, and I had a Yankees one at one point in my life. Uh, and they're making a comeback, which is weird because it wasn't that long ago that I can walk into a Walmart and buy starter shit for dirt cheap. And now they're coming back out with these starter jackets, and they're just as expensive as the last time. They're like $150 for a fucking starter jacket. When 10 years ago, I could walk in to a Walmart and get a starter jacket for like $20. Now they're back up to like $150. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. One thing's for sure. Hopefully, people won't shoot each other over these jackets like they did last time. Can we do better? I had to think if I walk down the street with a starter jacket, I'm not going to get popped. you know, over my fucking jacket, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is 93 all over again? I'm gonna get shot for my jacket? Ridiculous. I knew when like 8-ball jackets made a comeback, which I never liked. Even when I was a kid, I never liked fucking 8-ball jackets. Those things sucked. They're ugly. This just ugly. And when I saw that and Fila's making a comeback, I was like, you know what? I guarantee you starter jackets are coming back. And guess what? That is what's going on now because we have fucking starter jackets again. It's fucking ridiculous, man. uh, so it's making a comeback as well. There's some other shit going on. Hold on for a second. As I sit here and gotta get my fucking lighter and my fucking laptop. Oh, that's right. Mark Wahlberg. He is doing a Spencer movie. Now, for people out there who don't know, Spencer was a novel, a series of novels. It's like 70 or 80 novels with Spencer. But growing up, I watched the show as a kid, Spencer for Hire, with Robert Urich. And, why can't I remember this man's name now? But he was Benjamin Sisko on Deep Space Nine, but he was Hawk on that show. Uh, the name fucking escapes me at this point right now. But as a kid, I used to watch the show. It would come on like Saturday nights at 10 o'clock on ABC. So, Mark Wahlberg is doing a Spencer movie for Netflix. And I was like, that's pretty cool, that they're doing a new Spencer flick. And it's rated R, by the way. And it comes out in March. Saw a trailer for it the other day. It looks okay. It's like, I have Netflix for free, so it costs me nothing to watch this movie. So I'll finally sit here and watch this movie. I think there's another trailer I saw. The fuck trailer is it? This is what happens when you try to do a podcast at 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. Is that you forget all kinds of shit. I will promise you guys, you programs, that this episode will be very, very fucking short. Because, again, it's early in the morning. And Wasn't expecting to do a podcast on my own, but I am doing it on my own, so I promise it will be a very, very short one this week. So hold on for a second. And probably one I'm not going to listen to back. It's just very strange when I do one by myself. I like to challenge myself so that I can do a podcast, an episode by myself. But if it was up to me, Brother C would be over here right now doing this with me. But shit happens. So, let's talk about some of the bullshit I had time for this week. I saw, actually, before we get into the movies I saw, two things. One is that I saw the man in the black SUV on Friday. Different guy. Uh, the guy that usually runs the back of the SUV is a black guy. When I went there for the last 3 weeks, actually, it's been a Latino guy. I'm like, what are you guys, a fucking Doctor Who of bootleg movies and shit? You know what I mean? Like, same TARDIS, different doctor. Give it a couple weeks, it's going to be a white girl running the back of the SUV with a sassy black girl voice. It's like, listen, y'all trying to get some movies? Or I'm trying to get my nails done, okay? Yeah, y'all want what you want to see? You want to see Bombshell? You want to see Bad Boys? Hurry up, man! I'm trying to get my nails dead. You know, like the white girl from fucking Hustle and Flow. Oh boy. And two, uh, this particular week, the SUV had quite a few things in it. I had to narrow it down to three because he had Bad Boys for Life, and he had some other stuff. He had Bombshell. He had Underwater. He had Queen of Slim. Finally, so I got three movies. So this is one I want to talk about this week. So we start on Saturday. On Saturday, I was here at Part 2 Studios and got to see 1917. So here's the premise of it. You've got you got Blake and Schofield, uh, both soldiers in the British Army, World War One, and they're assigned a mission. Mission is simple. They have to go to another battalion and tell their general that this attack that they're planning, they need to abort it because they feel that this general feels like they have the Germans on the run, and unfortunately for them, it's a trap. The Germans are, they're setting them up, and if these two don't get there in time, this entire battalion, which includes 1,600 men, including Blake's brother, will get slaughtered. It's a massacre waiting to happen. That is the premise. And it's such a simple premise. They got to get to point A, to point B, and if they don't get there in time, this is what happens. Simple. So they take this simple premise and they do wonders with this movie. It is quite the feat that they've done with this movie. It looks like it happens in one day. Actually, a day and a half maybe. The camera never moves. First of all, let me talk about that. The camera never moves. Never stops moving. I should say that. The camera never stops moving in this movie. The only thing that I can compare it to is a game that I played a few years ago. Brother C didn't play, but he saw the walkthrough for, and that was the last God of War game. Because if you play that game, if you see that game, the camera is always focused on Kratos and his son. And it's the same thing here in 1917. It's like a first-person shooter come to life. Or I shouldn't say first-person, third-person shooter come to life. There are times where there's camera shots that I don't understand because I don't make movies, obviously. that I don't understand how they did. Like there was one scene where one of them has to cross a bridge that's broken, and the way that scene is shot, I was mesmerized by it. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. What this movie does sometimes with these camera shots. It's absolutely cool. Uh, as far as the story, they get these two get sent through a fucking nightmare. There are dead bodies everywhere in this movie. There's dead bodies, and not even dead bodies, but like dead animals. If you're an animal lover, do not watch this movie because you will be upset. You will be very upset as to how many animals are this dead in fields in this movie. But it's a fantastic, fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. There is a reason why this movie is getting all the praise that it is. There is a reason why this movie it has been nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars. And if it wins, I'll be totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. I won't be fine if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wins it for Best Picture. But if 1917 wins it, I'm not going to be upset by that. Because it's a great fucking movie. Uh, Theater movie, bootleg movie, absolute theater movie at this point. And here's the thing: I technically this movie came out last year, came on last month for certain people in certain places. Didn't get released for the general public until a couple weeks ago. So because of that, it still qualifies in my mind as a movie that came out this year, and as such, I can tell you right now, programs. It is very early in the year. We're not even done with January, but I can sit here and tell you guys that movie will make my list. If we still doing this podcast by the end of this year, that movie will make the list. It's one of my favorites. It is that good. It is that good, and I can't wait to watch it again and just marvel at the cinematography, and this piece of cinema. So definitely go out of your way to check that out. So now, that was Saturday. Here comes Sunday. Got home early enough to see the Green Bay San Francisco game. Of course, as we all know by now, Green Bay got their shit pushed in. Ugh. Boy, did they ever get just demolished by by the 49ers. It's interesting. This last decade, since Green Bay last went to the Super Bowl, which it was 10 years ago, they get into the playoffs. Sometimes they even make it to the NFC Championship game. And in the last 10 years, they have not been able to fucking punch the fucking ticket to the Super Bowl. They just can't do it. It has been very frustrating the last 10 years to see Green Bay, who is always a great regular season team, not make it into the Super Bowl. So, and they did not do that Sunday. So it's going to be San Fran and KC. I'm like, I guess that sounds interesting. I guess, yeah. Does it means I'm not going to care about it? And to be perfectly honest, you know, I got to work that day anyway, so I'm not going to see it. I'll watch the highlights, and I'll see the commercials the next morning on YouTube because that's what they do now with the whole ad blitz thing. It's the internet. We don't have to sit here and wait uh, to see a lot of these commercials. They'll come to me pretty much. So I turned that game off after the first half. Turned off one massacre to see another massacre because we went from World War One to World War Two, and I saw Midway. Here's the thing, programs. I can only give you half a review because I only saw half that movie because halfway through it, the DVD that I had decided to freeze. So like sometimes it happens sometimes. So I can only give you half a review, but pretty much Midway tells the story of Pearl Harbor all over again, and then what happened at Midway. For you Thundercats out there, that was World War II, and that's why that's how the United States got into the war in the first goddamn place because Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Okay, don't know if they teach you still. They teach you that in school still. I wonder what they teach these Thundercats in fucking school now. Because if you let's be honest, 9/11 is pretty much like social studies now. It happened almost 20 years ago. It's probably what they're learning right now, and not World War II. Like what's that? What's that? That's something Granddad did. Anyways, so unlike the last time that they tried to do a Pearl Harbor movie, the one good thing I can't say about Midway is that it's not a fucking love triangle like the last movie with Ben Affleck and who was the fucking chick? Who was the chick that was that him and Josh Hartnett were pining over? Was it Kate Beckinsale? I almost want to say it was. It was probably somebody else. Probably some other broad. But nothing like that happens in Midway. There is a love interest in it. Um, One of the main characters who is a fighter pilot. His wife is fucking Mandy Moore. A name that I haven't heard since the last time they tried to do a movie like this. Like Mandy Moore. Like I don't, I don't even think she does music anymore. What the fuck is she up to? What the fuck has she been up to these days? That's kind of the problem with Midway for me. Is that unlike the last time where they kind of focus on a few people, there's way too many people in this movie this time. Fucking there's Dennis Quaid. He's in this movie, like just doing absolutely nothing. He's wasted. You got Woody Harrelson. He's in this movie. You got Luke Evans. You got Mandy Moore. You got this dude over here. You got one of Jonas Brothers in this movie. Like it's way too much shit going on. Like slow the fuck down. The other problem with the movie is that it looks very cheap. There's a lot of green screen in it, and you can tell it's green screen. Even if you don't watch a lot of movies like I do, if you watch any movie in the last, like, I would say 20, 30 years, you know bad green screen when you see it, and this is bad green screen sometimes, especially in the beginning of it. I was like, what the fuck? They're not on a carrier. They don't even look like they're on a carrier. They look like they're on a goddamn green screen with a wind machine is just in their face. It's bad, just bad green screen. Um, that and that this movie drags because when, like I said, this movie froze on me, and when it did, I looked at the timestamp, and I'm thinking like, there's maybe like 30 minutes left of this movie. Nah, man, there was still an hour left. I was like, holy shit, this movie feels long. It's only 2 hours, but it feels like it's 4 hours, and that's not a good thing. Not a good thing. So I wish I had more to say about Midway, but unfortunately, like I said, I didn't see it the whole thing, anyways. So it's half a bootleg movie. Yeah. Maybe at some point I'll see it again. I doubt very seriously. I don't really want to spend the money to get another copy of it. To be honest, it was just okay. It was just okay. It would I wish I saw that before I saw 1917 because I would have maybe had a more pleasurable experience with it. But I saw 1917 first, and that movie's awesome. And so Midway had big shoes to fill, and it could not fill them. And there's a reason why this movie is well bombed at the box office the way it did. So that's my half a review of Midway. So when it froze on me, I took it out and I watched Bad Boys for Life. This is the third iteration of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's franchise as Miami PD, Mike and Marcus. I can't believe it's been 17 fucking years since the last time they did one of these goddamn movies. Because Bad Boys 2 came out in 2003. And it's been 17 years later. I was like, really? They waited this long to make another Bad Boys movie. But we got another Bad Boys movie. Excuse me for a second. So, here we are, 17 years later. And we find Mike and Marcus still Miami PD. Will Smith's character is still, still being flashy and still trying to fight these bad guys. However, Martin Lawrence's character, Marcus, is on his way to retirement. He's a grandfather now. He's like, you know what? Getting too old for this. I'm do you? Yeah, as he tells Mike, but I am retired. And eventually, what we find out is the bad guy this time around is a female, which I just assumed was going to happen, and her son. And they go around killing all these cops, and they attempt to try to kill Mike. Not to spoil it too much for you guys out there, but that's kind of the premise of this movie. Here's the good and the bad. The good is that this movie's not as long as the last one was. It comes in at 2 hours. They're not bickering as much because Bad Boys 2 for me was very much a flawed movie. There's some cool things about Bad Boys 2, but there's also some things I didn't like about Bad Boys 2, and one of those things was the bickering because they would break up and they would come back together and then they would break up and then they'd come back together and they would bicker and get back together and bicker and get back together, and there's like, you could have shaved off 30 minutes of that movie just with taking out all the bickering that they do. And they don't do it as much here. But the bad about the movie is that it doesn't have the same kind of kinetic feel, especially with the action scenes, that the last one did. Like, if you saw the last one, like that chase on the highway, or the freeway, I should say, with all this, those Jamaicans just throwing cars at them and stuff, and boats at them. That was awesome. Or the shootout in the house. You don't get that here the third time around so much. That a lot of these action scenes, especially like in the beginning of it, I thought was kind of lackluster. It does pick up towards the end, and which is a good thing. The villain is, it's interesting once you find out what's going on with these villains. Uh, that's a kind of a nice surprise. There are some good surprises. I will say that. Another good about it is there are some nice surprises. There are some clever nods to this to the part two. When you see it, you're like, ha ha ha, that's funny. That's some funny shit right there when you see it. So, theater movie or bootleg movie? I say it's a theater movie. Actually, I say it's a theater movie. Uh, I liked it. Probably not as much as part two. Like I said, part two is a little bit wonky at times, but it's still an enjoyable movie. And but so was this one as well. So was this one. It was pretty good. So programs. That's all I really have for y'all this week. To be honest, I wish I had more to say, but I don't really. Everything I talked about, I talked about. So with that in mind, let's get into some box office numbers. What is this? I'm gonna say Pavey or whatever. I'm on Joe Blow trying to pull up these box office numbers, and no, I have not seen fucking Mandalorian, nor do I want to. It's just how it works. But here we go. These are the top 10 highest grossing movies of the week, of this past weekend, I should say, according to JoeBlow.com. The number one movie in the country this past weekend, was a movie I just got through talking about, Bad Boys for Life. Made at this point, I think it made even more than this, but $59.1 million. It's probably made more than that at this point. I think it's made $100 million worldwide, and a big hit for Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Especially, and Will Smith needed a hit because the last movie he did was Gemini Man, and that flopped badly at the fucking box office, man. So, congratulations to them. And by the way, they're planning on doing part four. I'm just like, okay, I thought part three was it, but as we all know, if it makes money, Hollywood will capitalize on that shit. And let's be honest, don't wait another 17 years. They'll be in their fucking 60s at that point. If you're gonna do another Bad Boys movie, you need to do this in the next 2 years, not 17. Number two is Doolittle. That debuted at $22.5 million. Haven't heard too much about it, you know. But Robert Downey Jr. has to do something other than being Iron Man, because, well, I can't. I won't spoil that for people who haven't seen the game yet, but kind of sort of did. Number three was 1917. That which is a great fucking movie. As I said, it made $22.1 million this past weekend. It's up to $76.7 million. Kind of low. I hope that it picks up. I hope it makes good money because people need to see that movie. I hope more people do. Number four was Jumanji: The Next Level. $9.5 million, $270.4 million. So congratulations to The Rock. Number five was Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It made $8.3 million. It's up to $492 million. That movie sucked. Number six was Just Mercy. That made $6 million. It's up to $19.6 million. Number seven was Little Women. That made $5.9 million. $84.4 million. Really? Yeah, yeah. We're not done with Little Women, really? I think they did that movie when I was like in the 90s, when starter jackets were fucking popular. And here we are again, where starter jackets are coming back, and I guess everybody wants another Little Women movie. All right. Number eight was Knives Out, which is great, by the way. That made the list. My favorite movies last year. $4.3 million, $145.9 million altogether. Number nine was Like a Boss. It's a Tiffany Haddish movie. $3.8 million, $16.9 million altogether. And closing out the list was Frozen 2, which I don't have kids or a chick that likes Disney, so I didn't see that shit. That movie made $3.7 million, $464.8 million at the box office. So coming up this weekend, is a couple movies. One is a horror movie called The Turning, which I have no idea what that was about. I see the trailer. Actually, I didn't see the trailer, but I saw a clip of it on YouTube where there's somebody laying on the ground with a spider in their mouth. So if you don't like spiders, don't watch The Turning. It seems like that happened. Might have been in this movie. Uh, there's a Vietnam War drama called The Last Full Measure. Don't know what that's about. Some movie called Run, and the big movie of the week, this weekend coming up, is The Gentleman. There's the new Guy Ritchie British crime drama. So we'll see what happens with that movie. Because let's be honest, if this movie came out after Snatch, I would have been way more excited about it than I am right now. Because a lot of the stuff he did after Snatch was fucking garbage. Didn't like Revolver. Sure as hell didn't like Rock and Roll like a lot of other people did. Like, I must be the only one that doesn't like this fucking movie. I did not like Rock and Roller. Thought it was garbage. But I did like the two Sherlock Holmes movies that he did. I didn't see The Man from Uncle, but to hear Brother C say that I wasn't missing much, he's been very wobbly since Snatch, and him going back to the British crime genre, cool, very cool, but because he's done some really shitty fucking crime movies over the last, I'll say, 20 years, uh, I'm kind of sort of looking forward to it, but I have trepidations walking into it. You know what I'm saying? So uh, we'll see what happens. We should say it happens. I'm sure I'll have a review of the gentleman for you programs when I get around to seeing that movie. But I walk in with my hands up, like, all right, listen, I ain't got none. I ain't got none. What you got for me? Oh, by the way, before I get out of here, I did hear the new Eminem album. They dropped, I think it was like Friday. Like this news, this surprise album that nobody knew was coming out. And to be honest, I must be the only one that doesn't like this album. I think Joe Budden's right. Eminem has not done a good album in the last 10 years. He just hasn't. Arrival wasn't it. Didn't like re, Recovery was an alright album, but Relapse didn't like that album. Marshall Mathers, the Marshall Mathers LP Part Two was just okay, and he hasn't really done a lot of great tracks. And I didn't like this album, and I didn't want to like this album. Eminem is top five dead or alive as far as MCs go. He's a great MC, but this wasn't it for me, and especially hearing Eminem trying to do trap music at this point. It's like, no, come on. He's a He's a square peg trying to put himself into a round hole, and it does not work for me. And this album didn't work for me. But if it worked for you, cool. But it wasn't it. Sorry, y'all. Um, so, as we get to the end of this, like I said, it's going to be a very short episode. What am I looking forward to in the next 7 days? That's easy enough. The Rumble is on Sunday. I'm looking forward to the Rumble, as I always do. This time. Like it's Christmas right now, pretty much for me. As I think Brother C said, Royal Rumble is Christmas, WrestleMania is New Year's. That's how I know I'm in a New Year when we get to WrestleMania. So we are on Sunday. We are on the first step on the road to WrestleMania, Mania Sunday, and I don't really know what's going to happen with Mania Sunday this year, so don't ask. We'll get to that point when we get to that point. But I have no idea what's going to happen with Mania Sunday this year, or the Rumble for that matter. Um, I'll be here at Perpetuity Studios that night, and whoever shows up that night. I like to hope anyways that maybe Brother C will show up, but again, what's going on with him? It's kind of touch and go right now, and I totally understand that. But I'll be here, and I will have a review of the Rumble for you guys next time we meet up like this. So I'm going to get out of here because it's late, and I'm going to sleep. But thank you for hanging out with me for this episode of Geeks from Apt 2. I've been Alan One. Brother C has been Brother C back at home. We are the Geeks from Apt 2. We'll see you next time. And as always, we'll keep the door open for you. Fuck it.